So today I am out here in the park walking around, and we're gonna talk about one of the things from one of my new upcoming stories, and it is kind of like world building. So before all that, subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you want to, and enjoy it. So we're going to start off with what is the world. The world is one of the planets that are in the new story Jack. It is where actually the leader of the Jack crew lives. It is called a green world or a fixer world. Well, they're called green worlds. Green worlds are actually worlds that pretty much died at one point, where they were overpolluted, their atmosphere became unbreathable, the actual area had enough pollution of any kind, such as, well, not any kind, but all kinds of pollution. They generally had too much radiation and things like that on the planet itself to support life. So green worlds were created. What is a green world? A green world is actually what it sounds like. It's a world that's completely green, basically. So how a green world is created is when a planet dies, basically. So it becomes to the point where it can't support regular life anymore, or any life at all. What happens is scientists go into that planet and they look to see what was the reason the planet actually died. In many cases, or in the green world's cases, it's due to pollution of many kinds. Usually the worlds have an atmosphere that's polluted beyond anything that will support a life, and it has too much radiation on the planet. The planet may have gotten too hot. Things like that have happened throughout the planet's life, causing the planet to actually die, or more like anything that supports life on that planet actually died. So how does this fix? The scientists generally collect a few hundred samples of plants that are on that planet. Now, yes, the planet is dead, which means a lot of the plant life and things that they are collecting on that planet is deceased planets or just fossils from old plants that were actually there at one point. So once all these samples are collected, the plants are genetically engineered to absorb pollution of many different kinds. They usually feed off radiation. They use, instead of carbon dioxide, they may use methane or other elements that are found in air in high volumes to thrive on and to help them grow. So, and they convert it into usable things such as oxygen. They help repair the thing. They absorb the radiation throughout a planet so that the planet is no longer radioactive. And when they die, they create fertile ground in which regular plants can grow in. These plants also have a genetic defect built into them. Well, not really a defect, but it's a genetic marker in a sense. It's like a genetic disease, but instead of making the plant sick, what it does is reverses all the genetic engineering that has been done to the plant back to the original plant. So over time, this actual defect starts to degrade the plant back into what it originally was. Now, this defect is triggered by the pollution lessening, or basically the planet becoming more inhabitable. So now the planet is less suited to these genetically engineered plants that thrive on pollution and all the things, and now it's more suited to regular plants. Because that happened, now the plants are starting to break down genetically and go back and revert back to what they were originally, which means now they can actually start to repopulate the planet to what it used to be. Now, the part that actually makes these green planets or green worlds, in a sense, is not just these plants. It's because of how fast these plants grow. They will actually become from a dead planet to a planet almost completely covered in greenery within the year. These plants are genetically designed to grow over 100 feet per day, and the more pollution they have, the more radiation they have, the faster they can grow. So on a planet that's been dead for probably 100 years or so, no life at all can inhabit it, these plants would thrive like there's no tomorrow. And these are what actually end up being what are green worlds that members of the Brothers live on. Planets that have been dead for a long time. They come in, they plant these plants, and the plant goes from a dead husk of nothingness to a planet that's full of life and full of greenery. Well, not full of life, it's mostly just full of greenery. Why do I say not full of life? Because green worlds are classified as a level 9 on the danger scale. Well, not danger scale, level 9 on the livability scale, because it's almost impossible to live on a green world. Mostly because all the plants there, none of them produce any kind of anything that's edible. So all the plants are basically just plants. They don't produce any kind of greenery that you can eat. They don't produce any kind of fruits. It's a nice planet, but it's very hard for regular life to live on this planet. The planets over time become very acclimated to life in the fact that anything can live on the planet except for the fact that they will not have any kind of food. Which actually comes to the second thing green worlds are used for. Green worlds are also used to clean other planets. Planets that are overpolluted, planets that have become radioactive over time, the air is bad, things like that. As those things happen to a planet that's very civilized, maybe very populated, they contact members of the Brothers' Will and they arrange for what's called a planetary atmospheric exchange. In a planetary atmospheric exchange, two planets are brought close to each other, so close that their atmospheres combine. The atmosphere is actually exchanged, and then the planets are separated again. What this does is it actually helps clean the air of one planet, or get rid of all the pollution out of the air of one planet and puts it onto a different one. Green walls are generally used for this, whereas the planet gets pushed into the atmosphere for another one, and over the course of a week, the atmosphere from the two planets mix. The atmosphere becomes consistent over the two planets. So one planet that is highly polluted with, say, methane and carbon dioxide gets mixed with a planet that has very little methane, very little carbon dioxide. It is extremely rich in oxygen and nitrogen and other things like that that we breathe. So what happens now is they equalize each other. Yeah, the planet isn't completely fixed, but it does have an atmosphere that is a little bit less harsh towards life and a little bit easier to deal with. Whereas the other planet, which was super high in all these things that life loves, is now a little bit less suited for life. However, that's not a big thing because now the plants on the planet, which are starting to go through the stage of degrading back to regular plants, now have a second life and now have a second wind basically, where they go back and they start their process of cleaning the planet over once again. So why are green worlds a thing in the MowUniverse, or a thing that the Brothers will help create? The green worlds are a thing that they help create it because green worlds are a way to keep planets from dying, or to extend life on planets basically. Yes, a lot of the green worlds are dead planets, but they've been dead for centuries. Some have been dead for thousands and thousands of years, and some never even had any kind of life on them to begin with. So yeah, in a sense, yeah, it sucks that they're dead or they died, but now they have a new life. Now they have a new wind that they can do something to help produce life and help other planets out. And the last thing about green worlds that actually makes them a little bit uninhabitable is the fact that there's very little water on these planets because of how fast the plants grow, and the fact that most plants do use water. They use water, just not the same kind of water, or not in the same way that regular plants do. They do use less water, but they do grow in pretty much anything and anywhere at all. So over time, they will cover lakes, they will cover oceans completely, and they'll drown down oceans. They'll both grow on top of oceans and they'll grow at the bottom of oceans also, because they will be planting species that were water plants that grew at the bottom of plants, such as algae and things like that, or seaweed that was genetically modified to thrive off the pollution that the planet has. The pollution that they thrive off is generally specific to the planet, so it makes the plants grow even faster. So not only do green worlds help produce a livable planet once again, but green worlds also, in a sense, produce a whole new ecosystem over time. They produce not just small pockets of plants, but when they die, they produce other kinds of plants that never existed on the planet, or plants that have been dead on that planet for thousands of years, which helps revive the planet's ecosystem. Much more than just filtering the air or reducing pollution, green worlds actually revive a planet completely back to what it was thousands of years ago, before any kind of pollution actually took place in the first place. Anyway, that's what a green world is. It is a world that is designed specifically to get rid of pollution, and worlds that have died once before and have gotten a new life as basically pollution cleaners for other planets, or just for that planet temporarily until it's suited for life once again. And in the case where these planets do not get used with other planets to help clean their atmosphere, the green world over time becomes an inhabitable world, much like it was before. Green worlds generally last about 10 years, because that's generally about how long it takes plants covering an entire planet to clean the planet of pollution and to clean the air out. The green worlds are generally finished cleaning the planet. The plants have all degraded back into what they were originally. Now, many times this does not last, and this does not become a permanent fix, because many things are needed for plants to grow. Sometimes some of the planets, their soil is irreparable damage and they need more help than just a process of greenifying the planet and hoping everything goes well. And then also have the process of bringing regular life back to the planet. People, inhabitants, animals, things like that have to come back, because generally on green worlds nothing survives besides plants, because there's nothing there to eat besides plants that are generally radioactive and poisonous in some sense for a while, or at least at the beginning. But that's it for what green worlds are. Hope you like the park scenery. It's actually starting to rain. And guys, subscribe if you like my video. Check out the podcast. I'll be having new episodes there too. And we're gonna have a conspiracy theories that are coming out, and some older videos that I'm taking out of the archive to actually edit, because I do have about 30 or 40 videos in an archive that I've never edited. They're mostly logs that I did at one point to track my health, which I'm going to do again, and I'm not going to be editing those, so they'll be kind of like live videos in a sense. Anyway, that's it for now. That's just my little thing on how green worlds work, and it's a little insight into just a little bit of how planet building works. You think about how a planet works and the reason for a planet to be there, and or a world to be there, and then you can fill in your characters based off what that world has, things like that. The story is going to be finished at the end of the month, so you'll see Jack and you'll find out who lives on the planet. So until next time, hope you like it, subscribe, have a good day.